So we've been in Charlotte all week long. It's incredible. The whole industry has really been super supportive for NASCAR 25, and we've had 8 or 9 drivers trying the game. And you know, to us, it's just another step in the process of making a great game, right? You want to get their feedback, you want to implement some of the things that they give you pointers on. So enjoy some of the clips of these guys playing the game and just kind of what we went through this week. It's really exciting.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We just got done playing NASCAR 25. I would say it's probably the most realistic Xbox PS5 game that I've played. I grew up playing all the old games through my childhood, and it was pretty awesome to be able to kind of get on again, and I'm looking forward to when it comes out.
I mean, the physics, I used to play a lot of games and NASCAR games, and the physics on this game is above and beyond all of them. So initial thoughts are really good.
I was blown away by how realistic the game was, and just going through the couple tracks that I ran, like seeing how true the repave was at Iowa, and the new asphalt lines up with what we have in real life. The grip levels were accurate, impressive.
It's really cool, like seeing myself in a video game. That means a lot for me, because like I never imagined like saw me in a video game, and it made me feel like the first time when I jumped in a car, it was the same feeling.
Well, the first time seeing myself was, I mean, you dream about those moments, right? I mean, growing up and playing video games, like I said, 2K or anybody, and playing as LeBron James or doing something, right? You want to take your my player to the top of the, and have the overall, the 99 overall, you know? So now I get to do that for myself. I'm gonna be on that game 24/7.
For the first time ever, there's a whole new level of authenticity to the NASCAR game with the actual track scans and the car physics, which is going to bring fans closer to the sport.
You can definitely tell that iRacing had a significant impact on this game, from the driving characteristics to the audio, the visuals. You can tell the footprint that iRacing had on this platform, and it's a great thing because it just shows how next level video games can be.
iRacing is huge, so just the opportunity for it to go to a game console is also just a great opportunity for people that love racing or just trying to do it for fun and maybe trying to get into it.
I think the first game that I probably played was NASCAR 05. Got that game, actually had it on PSP at the time, and then played it on console as well, so that's really how I got started, and my friends said that I took the game way too seriously.
As a kid growing up, I was a big time NASCAR video gamer and would love getting to explore all the different tracks and see what they're about, and going to Pocono and realizing it's a triangle, and how Loudon, New Hampshire is really flat, and just seeing all the variety of different racetracks.
This game from the driver's perspective is what it needs to be. I mean, myself in my own career, there's just that energy level when you walk into the racetrack and you hear the engines and practice starts. There's just that feel that you get when you get in your race suit, you hop in the truck.
I mean, I'll never forget it, my first ever time at Daytona, when I rolled into the garage and they put my car on 4 jack stands, and they raise up the hood, and all you hear is the guns going on the tires, the guys working on the car, the spotter, crew chief talking. Like, it took me away because it felt like I've been in that situation before, and it actually was like I'm actually living this moment that I played in the game a million of times. So now to be in this game even more elevated, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's definitely huge.
I can't thank these drivers enough. This week has been super special for all of us to come down here and shoot this content and get their feedback. We've had a long relationship with a lot of these guys, and I'm so excited. Even ones we've just met this trip. The passion that they have and the excitement that they have to get this game out and in the market is super exciting. In case you haven't heard, October 14th, that's our launch date. So we're going to open pre-orders, and we're going to get you that gameplay trailer that you guys are all begging for about a month before. So stay tuned. We got a lot more information coming on the game for NASCAR 25.
Visit NASCAR25.com for more information on the game, and make sure you follow us on social media at NASCAR25Game.
is iRacing.
The road to a champion continues here tonight in the gravel of Wisconsin as the Crandon Championship rolls on in its third session here in the Wednesday evening time slot. Welcome back, everybody. If you have not tuned into any races we've had this week, you are in for a treat as we take you into our third race, our second broadcasted session here from the Crandon International Raceway in Crandon, Wisconsin. The home of short course racing in North America, the mecca of the sport. My name is Keenan Kuzin, and this morning we were treated to some of the most action we've seen all week, and it's only going to get better from here. This morning's winner, Evan McFarland, taking a huge win over Crystal King, fighting door to door just to get to the finish, and we're just getting started here in a week long of non-stop short course action. This is just one of many special events that are rounding out the year here in iRacing. Of course, Crandon special event will be happening all this week. We still have the Indy 6 Hour, Bristol 500, Bathurst 1000, Petit Le Mans, Martinsville, MX 500, another special event that you're going to want to get your eyes on. That's a good one. The FF 1600 Festival, Suzuka 1000, SCCA runoffs, another treat to run. It's Winter Derby, and if you're a dirt fan, you're looking forward to the Chili Bowl, and of course, the Production Car Challenge to round out our special events calendar at the end of the year. Joining me in the booth this evening is none other than Taylor Burles. And Taylor, we are going to be in for a treat as this is non-stop, bare-knuckle, gloves-off racing.
You gotta love this style of racing. Off-road trucks are just by far some of the most coolest pieces of content that we have on here on the iRacing service with so many different things. But of course, when it comes to some of the biggest events in off-road truck racing, it is here at Crandon. In fact, you gotta think about it. Next weekend is the actual real-life Crandon Off-Road World Championships that are be kicking off. And I know a lot of these drivers that are competing here tonight we will possibly see competing in multiple different classes next week at Crandon.
Yeah, the real-life crossover is real. Big name there, Connor Berry. Of course, if you know short course in iRacing or in the real world, you're aware of Connor Berry. He's here, there, and everywhere. And you're also aware of Dane Culver, who's been racing a ton in oval racing. He was one of our last year's champions. He's trying to go back-to-back and currently leading the points going into the weekend. If you are just tuning in, we've already done 2 races. Speaking of Dane Culver, he was last night's winner in our 9 p.m. split. And this morning, again, as we said, Evan McFarland taking a barn burner over Krista King to get that 11 a.m. win. We still have 5 more opportunities, including tonight, to be able to earn as many points as possible to race your way into the Super Session. The Super Sessions are going to be at 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, just like all the qualifying races. But Taylor, that's where the big ones are.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are kind of wondering, well, what is this Super Session idea and how are we going about doing it? Well, it starts off with the preliminary races that are happening since yesterday all the way to the 22nd of August. It's open to anyone who has a dirt road racing license of a 4.0 or above, and you have those 2 opportunities to race. You have the one at 11 a.m. and then the ones at 9 a.m. Drivers compete to earn as many points as possible during these events, and then the points scored by finishing positions and the SOF or strength of field. There are also 2 time slots available to any driver as we get set for those super sessions that are happening on August 23rd. Those same sessions are also the same prior format that we'll be talking about later on. Splits are determined by the highest points scored, and of course, then by their dirt road iRating.
So even if you don't run any sessions at all this week, you can still participate in the Super Sessions this weekend. We talked about it a little bit already, but here's what happened this morning. It was not uneventful as we had our heat race and our feature race here this morning. It was the Evan McFarland show in the heat race, but did get it done in the feature, but a ton of competition, and nobody told any of those trucks at the back, Taylor, that they weren't racing for those points. They were fighting tooth and nail for every position they could.
Yeah, there was a couple of drivers. You saw Ehrlich right there who was having some major issues, but was having a tough time at it. As we ride on with a couple of others, the driver right there we see is Morse having to negotiate some of the crazy traffic, but as we watch on, more contact. There you see the number 9 of Surlac, who is making heavy contact, but like you pointed out, McFarland just easily snakes his way through to take home the heat race win.
Yeah, but it wasn't easy for him to do in the feature race. You see, just off the start of Potawatomi Bend, another feature we'll get into a little bit of the moment, just a land rush start. We had an incident early on with Dennis Mickelson. He was a firecracker throughout the entire race, but the story up front was Crystal King and Evan McFarland. The young gun, Evan McFarland, coming over from the rallycross world, getting more and more included in these trucks. And Crystal King, almost a veteran now, trying to show him what racecraft is all about.
Absolutely, but we still saw some hard-hitting carnage a little bit right there. There you see the 7 of Blunt with the 12 of Ehrlich still having a tough time. But right here, this was the pass that made it work for Crystal King to get back by it. But you see the contact, the aggression level that we see with McFarland. And here they come to the start-finish line as they do so. And right there, you couldn't even tell. You had to go back and look at timing and scoring to see. But it was McFarland who took home the win in exciting fashion.
Ladies and gentlemen, finishes like that are not the outlier. They are the norm here at Crandon. Last year for the win, we were 3 wide, photo finish across the line. And just so you're aware, these are the points heading into tonight's race. Dane Culver, your champion from the 9 p.m. race last year, is currently leading with 340, but look at the names behind him. Zachary Drapkin, a heavyweight in the dirt road space, and Connor Berry, again, the institution that he is, super dominant in the Pro Series when it existed, and Evan McFarland with that win shooting up to the top 4, and Sean Winkler rounding out your top 5.
A couple of other notable drivers I saw right there as we see competing in the World of Outlaws, Tanner Pettit right there inside the top 20.
Yeah, not uncommon to see a lot of the dirt oval guys jump over into the dirt road discipline, whether that's trucks and whether that's rallycross, but Tanner Pettit there trying to stay in that top 20. Again, everybody races on Saturday, but everybody wants to make that top split. Everybody wants to be in the broadcast. And Taylor, the best part about this broadcast and something unique to Crandon, 10 wide land rush starts.
It's by far one of the most exciting starts in all of motorsports with the land rush here as we work our way through this 1.5-mile circuit with 8 different styles of corners and, of course, multiple jumps you have to negotiate. Last year, Crystal King was one of the dominant factors, taking home 3 session wins. But, of course, with the super sessions that happened later in the league, it was Nicholas Dachelet and Dane Culver who wrapped up the victory in those 2 super sessions that happened last year.
Those are 2 names you're going to want to keep an eye on for the rest of the week, as we do have Dane Culver, I believe, in this session tonight. And this is what they'll be driving, ladies and gentlemen, the warhorse that is the Pro 4 truck. A 900 horsepower, 6-speed sequential transmission, no electronic assist whatsoever, and just a very featherweight 4,100 pounds.
It's absolutely incredible, this car, and how much it may seem like, but so many different things you can make adjustments for. And talk about the suspension. You're going to see those shocks go to work. 18 degrees of front wheel travel, 20 in the rear. It's just going to be incredible to see how they are able to navigate these jumps, these divots, everything when it comes to racing here at Crandon with these Pro 4 trucks.
Another thing we said this morning, too, is get used to what that truck looks like now, because none of them are going to be that clean when they come back into the pits after the heat or the feature. Every panel will be dented. I'll be surprised if the panels stay on the thing for the end of the race. All is fair in love and short course, and it is indeed a contact sport. Again, if you are just tuning in with us, if you were not here this morning, let's take you through what you can expect this evening. They're going to have 7 minutes to put down 3 laps. The best of those times will take them into the heat race. The heat race is a qualifying race, no points gained there. That'll set you up for your starting position for the feature. The feature's 10 laps, no cautions, and that land rush start is the equalizer. So qualifying, Taylor, important. A lot of people say qualifying here is not that important, but if you've ever started in the middle of one of these, that's not the best place to be, I don't think.
I have to agree with you on that there, Keenan. One of the things I would have to recommend is try to get as much of an inside or an outside starting lane as far out from the middle as you can, because if you're up towards that wall, you can maybe avoid a little bit of the chaos as it tries to come hopefully down across the racetrack, or if you're on the bottom of the racetrack, you're hoping that they'll work their way up the racetrack to make contact and you just work your way through.
Not the first time, it won't be the last. We'll see some trucks into that blue wall on the outside of Potawatomi turn 1. But that all comes down to those land rush starts. Something we got to talk about a little bit now is the announcement of iRacing Arcade that was done this afternoon. Being able to release in early 2026 the newest project from iRacing Studios and Original Fire Games. It's a bit more of a more entry-level experience to the iRacing ecosystem, with a lot of cars and tracks that you will recognize from the sim, and just a different kind of experience, Taylor.
Absolutely. As you take a look at some of the pictures here, we're seeing tracks like Barber and Imola and even Mexico City added on. A couple of the cars that you see are the Porsche 963s, including a Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, and then, of course, the Ray FF that we see there. But it is that where we can even build your own motorsports legacy, climbing the racing ladder to help boost and improve your results. And there will be officially licensed cars and tracks like we see here. And of course, one thing I heard about was that one of the tracks, Imola, was excited about being added on to this program, and an amazing opportunity. And of course, besides the single player, there will be a little bit of multiplayer action then, with time trials that are going to be happening to put your best time against some of the biggest names in the world. And of course, we're excited to see this coming out later on this fall on Steam and then on the consoles in 2026. I'm looking forward to buying this game.
And Taylor actually having the power to read the rest of the graphic there. I only saw the 2026 and hyper-fixated on it. Someone has a ton of time in Karting Superstars. Can't wait to get our hands on that one. Qualifying has now begun. Again, we talked about a little bit that the heat race will set the line for the feature, but to get the lineup for the heat, we still have more traditional qualifying. Riding along with the number 3 truck this evening, that's Sean Winkler. If you've done any sort of off-road racing here, especially short court racing, whether it's the Pro 2, the Pro 4, or anything in between, you're very familiar with Sean Winkler, as he seems to be here, there, and everywhere. If there's any sort of SOF race going on, the Wink is in it, and he's usually towards the front.
Absolutely. And how about this right here as we take a look at his onboard, and looks like he's got something going on for sale right now as he tries to see if he can work his way through. Hopefully he's not selling that sim rate, because we know for a fact he is a main staple when it comes to off-road short course racing here. As he adjusts his VR headset, he should be coming out on the last couple of laps left to go in his qualifying attempt.
He'll do that big wide swing, Taylor, and begin his first flying lap here. That is the start-finish. That's not turn 1, technically, for those who are not used to watching it at home, but Calamity Corner is the beginning of the start of the lap. Coming into Argonne Corner now. This bank corner is so important that you get a good run down the back straightaway into one of the best passing opportunities and one of the funnest corners to watch on lap 1. Cowboy Corner. Watch Sean's line here. It's not more of a traditional racing line. Shoots it real deep, uses the banking to stop the truck, and then gets a straight line exit. Very motocross. You'll see that both in that corner and gravel pit, which is heading down to you in a couple of corners' time.
Yeah, right here. And then, of course, we touched on this. This is that first couple of corners that you'll see on the land rush, where we will see a lot of chaos happening, especially right through here. You got to really try to divot that car on these jumps to point the car in how you want to set up this opening couple of corners here. It's really critical to work your way through this running.
Yeah, he's coming down into gravel pit now. Same thing, almost an opposite apex. Uses the V of the corner, uses the banking to make sure to get a straight line exit. We talked about it a little bit with Chris Leone this morning. Not big drifts, big fishtails going into these corners. Nice smooth steering, smooth inputs on the power to get the best exit speed. Pole time this morning was a 15:34 from Vic McFarland. We'll see if Sean can make that work. Unfortunately, I think he might have got an off track there somewhere, because, oh, nope, just to the top of the board now with a 15.564. So he'll head to the pits, get some fresh tires, and re-rack to see if he can make something of it. As we now jump on with Tyler Shattuck, who has had a bit of a makeover since this morning, and obviously as well, going from last year's results, Tyler Shattuck has one of these race wins, the Thursday morning split. So keep an eye on this 37 machine tonight as he gets his lap time in.
Really good run right there as they work their way through there. You see next up is the number 10 machine. of Scott Merrick as he works his way through and trying to get a good run through out of this section of the circuit, approaching up to the high-speed corners that we're going to see, especially over towards the opening couple of corners. Really good job of just trying to plant that truck right where he needs, even with that sideways run, as we pick up the number 8 machine of Cody Retzlaff, who's been a staple also we've seen competing here in the off-road racing world.
Yeah, if you're familiar with the off-road racing or the short course world specifically, you are aware of the Retzlaff name. Parker Retzlaff actually taking part of a lot of the all-star races in the Pro Series during its tenure. But you're going to see a lot of different lines, especially towards the back half of these races. Tire wear is a factor. I know they're very short, 7 and 10 lap races, but the sidewall of the tire gets burned out very quickly. So you'll see drivers backing up corners, moving around, especially in Ponce Turn 2 after this big, wide right-hander that is Potawatomi Bend. You'll see people experimenting, trying to carry speed in different ways, maybe running towards the wall, down from the wall, using the banking. This is a very dynamic racetrack.
Absolutely here as field works their way through with the final few moments left in qualifying just only. And here he is, Connor Berry, who had a stellar drive here racing at Crandon a couple of months ago during the AMSOIL Off-Road Championship. Came home with 2 podium finishes for his attempts racing in that championship. But he knows a thing or two about getting around this circuit as we look forward to seeing what he can do in that number 2 CBR.
Yeah, don't even just look at the number 2 on the door, which he's known for running. Look at the 3 numbers on the back, 199. On the dirt, there's no better name to represent in your truck than Travis Pastrana, and he is representing Channel 199 Sim Racing as he's dead down into Potawatomi Bend. For those who are unfamiliar with the short course racing world on iRacing, Connor Berry is up at the front of anything he touches. He has now had some competition. Again, we've had 2 winners last year in the Crandon Championship, and neither were Connor Berry. I know he's hungry to try to get to the top step of the podium once again.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing what he can do here tonight because Connor Berry is going to be a fan favorite. And of course, you can't forget about another driver who just moved up the running order briefly. Crystal King just moved up to P2 with her final lap in qualifying as well. And I know she got a little bit denied this morning in the opening session today, but I think she's going to try to look for a chance of revenge and back a chance in victory lane.
Connor Berry topping the timing board right now with a 15.51. Not quite the pace we saw from Emmett McFarland this morning, but again, there's a lot of factors that play into that. If you are licking your chops saying this is the kind of racing that I need to get myself involved in, head on over to iRacing.com today and get your racing career started. Asphalt, dirt, and everything in between. Log on to iRacing.com today to start your short course sim racing career. As we move on to our first heat of the evening, that concludes our qualifying session as we just have the last couple of seconds and we will get you our starting grid. Taylor, just looking at some of the names here, is a who's who of short course racing the last couple of years here on iRacing. Some new names, some old names, and some very, very familiar heavyweights to the top of the board.
Absolutely. As we take a look at those qualifying results, it is Connor Berry and Sean Winkler on the front row. Crystal King in third with Thad Countryman fourth. Dane Culver, of course, we saw him winning last year in 2024. And Adam McAfee, Zach Drapin, Scott Merrick, Nathan Minister, and Dennis Mickelson, your top 10.
Unlike this morning, we do have a 19-truck field with Robbie Strawn, Tyler Shattuck, Brandon Forcade, Cody Vanderveer up in the 14th position, Cody Retzlaff in 15th, Richard Watkins in 16th, David Holdren in 17th, Miles Morris unfortunately not getting the run he was looking for in 18th position, and Matthew Linde, the teammate of Evan McFarland, rounding out your 19 trucks as we are almost 20 deep to prepare for this Land Rush start, Taylor.
Absolutely. We are looking forward, waiting on 2 more trucks to join us here to get set for that epic Land Rush. For those of you tuning in here and watching, if you want to see something incredible, and also, of course, a chance to try this on iRacing, this here is what you're going to be excited to watch. The Land Rush into the corner to start this event. We're happy to have you with us here, and Keenan, let's get the show on the road.
Barney has the flag in his hands. We await the starting command. 900 horsepower beast, 19 gladiators heading into the Coliseum that is Crandon International Raceway. Only one could be towards the front. and be able to start on the pole for the feature race, which is the big one. Everyone's trying to get into that top split race on Saturday, but to get there, you have to get through the war that is this week of Super Sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, we are green with our first heat race here tonight from the Crandon International Raceway. Connor Berry with a great start towards the inside. So it's Crystal King to the outside of the first 3 trucks, but look towards the middle. A couple of trucks sideways there as we almost get through Potawatomi turn 1, Ponzi turn 2, though. There is a washing machine of trucks there towards the back as we have one spun out, but more or less, Taylor, we make it through clean and clear.
Absolutely. And Brandon Bourcade, who had tough issues, he drops back, but already we see the battle up at the front of the field. Connor Berry, Winkler, and Crystal King putting the pressure on as they make their way through underneath that Polaris Bridge, and as they work their way through the final corner to start the opening lap. Crystal King already hard on the charge, trying to move up to P2.
Someone we didn't mention at the top of the broadcast, you see him in the purple truck there by JWC Designs, Dane Culver. He's one of your champions from last year, as what we saw this morning seems to be happening again. Everyone towards the front kind of understands this is the qualifying race. Let's not throw elbows too early. Everybody in the middle towards the back saying, you know what? Let's just go for it.
Absolutely. Talk about Tyler Shattuck and Scott Merrick banging towards as they come up to the Cowboy corner. Already everyone now just trying to get themselves up to the top of the racetrack. Couple of drivers trying to work their way to the bottom, and they're just going to beat doors, and hopefully they make it stick as they come out towards this long run into the first couple of corners.
Cannot undersell how these are the best drivers in the business. They know how to throw a hip check, and everyone keeps going. It is rubbing, is racing. This is the touring cars of the dirt racing world. They are not afraid to hit each other, as we already see body panels flying left, right, and center.
Absolutely. Drivers just trying to hold on. But the thing is, that's what's so great about these off-road trucks, is that even if a panel gets lost or gets loose, it's still going to be out there performing strong and holding on and putting on a great fight.
You never know who's going to end up on their lid, as you just have to keep racing. Another hip check there, as there's still a lot of arguments here towards the middle of the field. Too wide going into the Calamity Corner. They call it Calamity Corner for a reason. A lot of races have been decided here this week. Some are already trying to stick it up the inside, but Taylor, it is so difficult to pass here. A lot of the corners that have the biggest braking zones are banked. You can get really good runs on the exits. You really have to set a driver up, and usually there has to be a little bit of a, let's say it, conversation from wheel-to-wheel action going into the middle, and Zach Drapkin is now the cork of this bottle.
He certainly is, but as they approach Cowboy Corner, we're going to see if that cork becomes a little bit unplugged here as they send it in deep, all of them banging towards 4 and 5 wide, and still a couple of drivers having a little bit of a disagreement amongst themselves. That's the 59 of Cody Vanderveer, who is having a little conversation with Robbie Swan and company as they snake their way through. You see the body panel just hanging on for dear life right there on Robbie Swan's machine as he tries to hold a position.
These drivers very familiar with each other. They're running in officials, they're running in leagues. Everybody kind of knows everybody in the short course world. That's something that Leone talked about a little bit this morning as we ride on board with Cody Retzlaff. Best seat in the house as the gloves are off in front of him, sliders left and right. Everybody leaves the shot, and welcome back the team as 4 trucks leave and 4 trucks re-enter the view of Cody Retzlaff. And again, very important to get these intro to these corners, but we talked about it already, Taylor. The front 5 have just gotten the single file and are pulling away from this madness.
They certainly are right now as we continue to watch that on board, and now move back up to the front a little bit further back with Cody Vanderveer. You see him going 3 wide a little bit. They squish up another driver right there stuck in the middle. That would be the number 18 machine of McAfee stuck right there, but is able to gain ground back as they make the run over to Cowboy Corner. But yeah, you touched on that already, Keenan. These drivers up at the front just really pulling away. We got another feature race to run here, and they're in no rush whatsoever to make any major passes for position.
Mentioned it this morning and mentioned it today too. This is a contact sport. This is physical racing. This is not dirty. They know how to do it. They know how to do it respectfully. However, do you really want to make enemies on Wednesday when you still have to make it to Saturday? And we saw a lot of really calculated moves this morning. And again, you kind of have nothing to lose towards the back. As Matthew Linda, big send on Scott Merrick there. Can he get the block pass done? Not quite, but we just said it, Taylor. The bank corners, it's really hard to get passes to stick when you can't get runs off the corner.
Yeah, when you slide up that track, you might think you're gaining a little bit of time on your competitors, but you just don't get that power down quick enough because of how much you're sliding the tires through here. You're going to lose that ground. You're going to lose that positioning if you're not too careful. We already do have one driver out of this heat race. Cody Retzlaff went for a wild ride briefly as we go back on board with our driver of Scott Merritt, trying to get around Matthew Lynn for position.
Producer's curse there, I suppose. You rode along with Cody Retzlaff, and we say goodbye to Cody Retzlaff as he'll have the least fortunate starting position in the feature, but we won't see the last of him. And again, you're already starting to see lines move around here as we're only on lap 4 of 6. So the track's starting to wear in. It's something that crosses over from dirt oval to dirt road, is as the track wears in, as the dirt wears in, you're going to see trucks move around. Maybe not so much ride the cushion, but try to look for grip in different places.
Absolutely. You're going to see drivers try to find their way off of that tacky dirt right up there. And up here in the Midwest area, we're seeing that is a lot of the silt more style of dirt, not what we see down here in the south, that red clay. It's big time contact as we go back up to the battle for the race lead with Connor Berry, Sean Winkler, and then Crystal Keen and Dane Culver trying to catch back up, losing a little bit of time here in the closing laps of this heat race.
Got to put some respect on Sean Winkler's name. He's got a win from Thursday last year, and he's trying to redo that as we take a look at what happened to Cody Retzlaff and how we lost a little bit of a kiss from Winkler to Berry as we ride along now with Cody Retzlaff on the bottom. Yeah, just kind of mistiming the jump off Ponce. You kind of have to commit. Big wreck for Retzlaff there. You have to commit your turn before the jump. You'll see a lot of these trucks jump sideways and then land and continue to slide throughout the corner. If you turn it a little bit early, Taylor, you can see the hill and you basically just have to grip the wheel and go, well, this is my life now, as we're side by side for the lead. Connor Berry has led every lap, but Sean Winkler wants the pole for the featureway. Sean Winkler to the point as Connor Berry is shipped wide. Big moves up towards the front.
He's going to try to get back on the power, though. He'll look to the inside, side by side. Battle for the race lead. Slides up the racetrack. Connor Berry trying everything he can, but does not get the power down. Winkler, though, as you see, on board with him. He's got to deal with that pressure as they come around to get the white flag. Berry tries to dive it into the bottom. Pushes Winkler up the racetrack. One more time around here for the heat race.
We talked about it. Berry just trying to time the initiation of that corner a little bit, but Sean Winkler had the inside line, held his line. Connor got knocked a little bit wide. They have a truck separation now. Sean Winkler would love to get this win over Connor Berry. He's somebody who's always been fast in a Pro 4 truck, but it seems that over the last year has found that little extra 1% to be able to be at the front of the field. Again, he's got a win to his name last year, but outside of the Super Sessions, but he's holding off some of the best in the business as look behind him. He's got Connor Berry, Crystal King, Dane Culver, and he is to the point of this field.
How about this here for Sean Winkler? A great way to be patient, wait for the opening, and then attack as they come through the Ponzi curve. And as they do so, Berry trying to put the pressure on. He knows he's still got a little bit of time as the last couple of corners are approaching up into the gravel pit. They're about to make their way through the final time in this heat race. Berry sends it in. Not close enough, Keenan.
We come down to Calamity Corner. Berry is a very smart individual, makes really good decisions, but he loves winning more than anything else. Does he go for a move? It looks like he's going to take a bit of a peek. Sean Winkler doesn't give him an inch. Sean Winkler is your winner of our heat race here on Wednesday evening.
Great drive right there as we go back a little further in the field. Here's this battle for 10th, and Robbie Swan, Nathan Minister, and company come across the line. An exciting battle right there. Minister holds the top 10. McAfee is unfortunately going to finish outside there, so not a great starting run for him for McAfee and Vanderveer, but still great close fighting.
Hard to call that a battle. It looked more like a war as you had 4 or 5 trucks fighting for every position they could have there as Sean Winkler gets the win over Connor Berry. And look at the number 1 machine, Dane Culver, rounding out your top 3. Crystal King, and then with a 4th place position there, Zach Drapkin rounds out your top 5.
P6 will be Matthew Lynn, followed by Dennis Milkison in 7th, Tyler Shattuck 8th, Robbie Swan, and Nathan Minister rounding out that top 10.
And some names that maybe didn't have the best heat race, Cody Vanderveer, Thad Countryman, respectfully about outside of the top 10. You look for them to go forward in that feature race. Miles Morris as well towards the back. And again, we saw Cody Retzlaff go for a ride. He's got an interesting he's in an interesting position now starting 19th. You're going to be outside of the back row, but I don't think you're going to see these drivers be as nice going into Potawatomi turn number 1 for our feature.
No, they certainly will not. There's going to be aggression level. Let's crank it up to 11 here for these drivers. They're currently having a little bit of warm-up. Of course, this is the second of 2 sessions that we've had today, and then after tonight, there will be 4 more before the 4 sessions that we have here tonight. Of course, we have more exciting action starting tomorrow, Keenan, that you'll be covering all throughout this week.
We are here all week, would rather not want to be anywhere else. If you are just joining us and want to get involved, here's how you do it. All you need is a dirt road rating of 4.0 or higher. There are 2 time slots in the day, 11 a.m. Eastern Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Drivers compete to earn points during the week, and points are scored by finishing position and strength of field. Tonight, there was 5 splits, and I believe, if my notes are correct, that's the most splits that we've ever had in the last 2 years at Crandon Championship, with 4 being the most, not counting our feature race, our super session races. And on top of that, the more drivers that participate, the higher the strength of field. The higher the strength of field, Taylor, the more points you can earn.
Can't go wrong with that if you want to have the chance of being one of the top performers in the super session that will be happening on this Saturday. And I got to say, these drivers here, I'm looking at the strength of field. It's incredible.
Yeah, again, it's crazy what's happened in the last year. Some drivers at 9,000-10,000 I-rating now in this short course discipline. We expected to lose more drivers here in Potawatomi turn number 1. We just said it before. We're going to repeat it before we get to the start of the feature. These drivers are not going to be as nice. I imagine Connor Berry is not going to be as content to finish in second place. And again, if you want to join us here on Crandon or any of our short course offerings or any of our dirt offerings, asphalt or dirt, head over to iRacing.com today to get your start in your sim racing journey. Maybe we'll see you in the next Crandon Championship session. Again, body parts flying everywhere. I said it a bit at the top of the broadcast, you are not going to expect any of these trucks to finish the way they started, missing quarter panels, dents everywhere, quarter panels hanging off. Look at that new damage model, look beautiful on the 15 machine. Maybe Robbie Swan will disagree with me with that one. But Sean Winkler, again, as somebody who's raced with him and somebody who's watched him come up, he's never kind of been on the come up. He's always been a mid-pack driver that just needed a little bit of extra. Maybe this is the year of Sean Winkler. He's been putting in the seat time, he's been putting in the work, and just to remind you, as we get ready to start our feature, he will be your pole sitter for that feature. Drivers to look for coming up through the field: Zach Drapkin, he's currently number 2 in points. He's going to have to move forward if he wants to stay there. Dane Culver, your 2024 Saturday night winner in the Super Sessions. Dennis Mickelson went for a ride this afternoon, and now he's in a more optimal starting position. And Taylor, there's some names here outside of the top 10. They're going to try to fight to get into it.
Yeah, McAfee and Vanderveer put on a stellar fight to get inside the top 10, but for Scott Merrick and Cody Retzlaff, they got a little bit of work to do after having some issues. Hopefully they can find their way up through the field and put on a great show for us here tonight.
Calm before the storm here. 19 trucks are going to enter, and only 1 can walk out on the top step of the podium. Again, this is your first or your third of 7 qualifying races before we get into the Super Sessions on Saturday. Anybody can race, doesn't matter where they finish, but especially everybody here wants to be in that top split. They want to be in the broadcast split, and to get there, they'll have to survive this. Green flag for the features. We're live once again at Crandon. Great start for Sean Winkler to the inside. We have 1 truck sideways in the middle. That's how this always kicks off, as can we survive Potawatomi turn 1?
So far, everyone makes it through nice and clean as they head up to the Ponzi scheme. 1 truck loops it around further back, but we'll continue on with the racing action as they're side by side for second. Dane Culver finds his way around the drivers of Sean Winkler as Connor Berry leads him off into the gravel pit. He'll try to pick up a 2-for-1 special as more drivers barrel down on him as they head into Calamity Corner.
We head into gravel pit as the calamity has already begun. It's Dane Culver again, your champion from last year. He has been nothing but excited to get his feet wet, to get stuck in this week, and he has moved up from 3rd to 2nd, holding Sean Winkler, your heat winner, behind him. As look who's in front, if it's anybody but Connor Berry.
I think Connor doesn't want to be the bridesmaid again, especially this year when it comes to racing in the virtual Crandon World Championships here. And he's going to try everything he can to take home the top spot. And what better way to do it than here in this session tonight as they work their way into Cowboy Corner. Dane Culver sends it in deep, pushes them up the track. Here comes the driver of Winkler. Look to the inside. Couldn't make it work. It's now going to be a track race.
A lot of those trucks in the midfield with damage, a lot of taps to the wall as Dane's going to try to make it work on the outside. This move can be done, but very difficult. Goes for the crossover as Dane Culver trying to find something with Connor Berry, but somebody who's so experienced in these trucks, not just in the real world, but also in the sim, is Connor Berry. He knows what lines to block, where to go, and Sean Winkler trying to pick up the pieces as soon as you may fail a pass, Taylor, a little bit of contact for Dane Culver. He had so much counter steer in it. That's going to be Sean Winkler to the inside, but Dane Culver gets the run now going into Calamity Corner.
Keep an eye right there as we watch those two battle it out into Calamity Corner, but Zachary Drapkin right there in the catbird seat, watching these two battle it out. If these two make a mistake, one driver goes too high, one driver loops it around. Drapkin's right there to capitalize on that and maybe have a shot to chase down your race leader of Connor Berry.
Somebody who kind of got the worst of that first lap, Crystal King. You see all the damage to the right side. Body damage, not so big of a deal in the profile. There is a little bit of trap, but not that big of a deal. Something where you'll see big problems is wheel damage, engine damage, and that axle, that real axle moving around. Big set from Dane Culver, block pass of the year. Where did he come from? From downtown, does Dane Culver go from third to first, and Sean Winkler is going to be chasing the knuckles up machine of Dane Culver now. What a move!
Sean Winkler, and I gotta say right there, for Dane Culver to pull that move, Connor Berry was just like, what just happened here for that drive as he now has to work his way through. He's got a little bit of time to make it work, 8 laps to go, but he's got to find a way to make it stick.
If you're Sean or Connor, you have to just get in line and get Dane. Obviously, all these drivers race with each other. There is a level of sportsmanship, but that was bananas. He came from a different area code as Connor Berry has already went, Sean, don't worry, I need to take care of this. He moves back up to second. Sean doesn't fight it too much. They have to make sure they stay together as we have battles all over the racetrack. And look at this move from Culver. Sean with a big dive, and Dane goes, all right then, I'll just take the lead.
I mean, look how much he gave up going into corner entry to get that power he needs off corner exit to slide that move. Now let's see what Connor Berry can do as they make the run, as we watch Crystal King battling for position with the number 13 machine of Matthew Lynn as they head into Cowboy Corner. A little bit of a hip check right there amongst them as they're 3 wide off of Cowboy Corner, making the run over.
So many lines you can take out of Cowboy. And again, a lot of these trucks back here with some minor damage. As we ride along board with Robbie Swan, you see a little bit of a disagreement with the 8 machine there of Cody Retzlaff. He's actually improved a ton, starting 19th up to 8th position.
He's one of your biggest movers of the night so far with that drive that he's got going on. Cody Retzlaff looking to try to find his way around Crystal King as they head into the gravel pit. Puts the bumper to her a little bit there, and so far not going to work, but Robbie Swan's like, let me have a go at it. I'm going to try to see if I can get that spot as they head into Calamity Corner.
One of the smartest and most composed drivers in the short course scene is Crystal King. It's really going to be difficult to move her out of the way as Dane Culver trying to hold off Connor Berry. Again, that big move from Dane, that block pass, all's fair in short course racing, but that doesn't mean Connor's got to roll over and take it. As he goes for the crossover into Argonne, they're going to be side by side going into Cowboy Corner. It's a drag race down to the hairpin.
Here they come down to Cowboy Corner. There you see Berry on the inside, Culver on the top side, contact between them, and here comes Sean Winkler to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll try to catch him up and not going to work this time, but Connor Berry retakes the race lead.
Ladies and gentlemen, we said this type of racing was physical, and all 3 of these front runners are putting a show on for you right now. Oh, contact, big contact with the inside wall from Dane Culver. Sean Winkler smells blood on the water. Can he take the spot away from Culver? Culver goes deep, and we have 2 more members to this party now. Taylor?
Absolutely. Throw in Nathan Minister and Zachary Drapkins into this hunt. Minister try to make it stick. Here comes more contact. Around we'll see some more drivers loop it around, and we're 5 wide in this Hornet's nest just about as they come into Calamity Corner. Connor Berry holds off the bludgeoning drive that we're seeing here amongst the competitors as Drapkin sends it in. Here comes Minister as well with Dane Culver dropping back to P3.
Are we watching an automobile race or a hockey fight? I have no idea what's going on anymore as we have some action towards the back. One truck off there as the battle for the lead continues. Again, Dane Culver now sitting P3 with Zach Drapkin. He's kind of been just back there all night. Now up to P2. He's second in points overall behind Dane Culver. Would be able to jump that driver in overall points considering the strength of this field as Connor Berry continues to hold on to the lead. A little bit of contact now with Sean Winkler and Nathan Minister. Nathan was in P nowhere last race, just a nice quiet heat race, and now he's in the mix for what is effectively the lead.
Well, it's time to take off the gloves and get ready for a bare knuckle fight right here amongst these drivers as they are throwing blow after blow here at each other. Drapkin trying to hold off the hard charge of Dane Culver as they head into the gravel pit. A little bit of a calm before the storm. Here comes Culver, sends it down to the bottom. Slide job, not going to be able to make it stick. Drapkin holds on for the time being as we take a look at the replay of what we have seen in some of the chaos amongst these drivers. And big time issues further back to the 13 of Matthew Lynn.
Yeah, it's just so easy to get caught on the inside wall there of Calamity Corner. It's happened so many times, and then up onto the bank, too. I believe that is the number, I think that's Robbie Swan who caught that bank there. But, Taylor, you catch the inside of Calamity Corner, the truck basically comes to a stop. The trucks behind you, unfortunately, have things to do and places to be. You will just get moved out of the way, and that will be the end of your attempt here in our Wednesday night feature race. There goes Dane Culver, that big block pass again. He gets one, but he doesn't get down. Connor Berry's off the course. He's back to where the Landro start is. Dane Culver calling it kind of to the lead, but where's Connor Berry in all of this? He's going to cycle way out in the back of the field as Dane Culver is not making any friends at all right now.
Talk about throwing the big-time haymakers we're seeing here tonight. Dane Culver is not holding back. It's a no-hold-bars fight amongst them. But here comes Sean Winkler. He's ready to get back into the fight for round two. He'll try to find his way to the inside of Drapkin. Drapkin makes a little bit of contact with Culver. He's ready to take the fight to him with a couple of laps to go.
Said it earlier in the broadcast, not sure if making enemies this early on in the race is the wisest choice, as this early on in the week is the wisest choice, as there's battles all over the racetrack, as that's the number 6 getting turned sideways, trying to hang on to that machine is Tyler Shattuck. Again, he didn't have quite the best start, as we're racing for 8th. That's Scott Merritt, Cody Retzlaff, again, who started P last, Matthew Linda, who looked like he was out of it, and Cody Vanderveer trying to crack that top 20 in such a competitive field. Side by side for the lead now, as that's Zachary Drapkin to the inside of Dane Culver. Dane Culver's had one of the most eventful nights of his iRacing short course career, as Zachary Drapkin, again, another driver with real life experience and one that you cannot ever count out. That's Z-Drap to the lead.
He will try everything, and Culver puts the bumper to him a little bit more as they come up to Ponzi, and as they make the jump, a little bit of an issue right there. Both of them gonna go around. Here comes more drivers down to the bottom of the racetrack, 4 wide as they come up to the gravel pit. They're still locked together as they try to find their way through into the gravel pit. Big time send for Sean Winkler. Who's gonna capitalize? It will be Culver, but here comes Connor Berry. 4 wide as they make their way to the jump and into the gravel pit. Can they make it stick as Drapkin goes over and loops it around?
Are you not entertained, ladies and gentlemen? We've had a new leader basically every lap. That's Sean Winkler back to the point. Connor Berry's back in the mix. We lost some drivers there towards the back. We had cars doing wheelies. We had trucks doing flips. We have been edge of your seat action every single lap, and we still have 3 laps to go. As there's Zach Drapkin. He got turned around, luckily for the 4-wheel drive of these trucks, was able to get going fairly quickly, but he goes from the lead right back to the battle for 5th as Crystal King is the keeper of P5.
Well, she's going to have to hold on and try to see what she can do, because she's got to deal with Drapkin and Swan right behind her as they make the run over towards Ponzi, and as they do so, this is going to get exciting. Everyone's now got a little bit of breathing room. Winkler's got about half a second advantage, but that's going to shorten up pretty quickly as we watch Culver closing down and barreling down on him as they make the run towards the gravel pit. He's got a good run coming through, but how about Nathan Minister also putting on a stellar drive as here comes Connor Berry showing the nose as we go up towards the battle for P8 with Matthew Lynn and Scott Merrick looking to try to pick up a spot around Bad Countryman.
The battle for the lead's been so exciting, but don't get it wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Every position matters heading into those super sessions on Saturday. You want to know who knows it? These 4 drivers right here. Matthew Linda, excellent job so far heading this field. It looks like they're starting to calm down here just a little bit as we enter 2 laps remaining. And again, towards the front of the field, look who's nose to tail. And I bet you that battle's not over. Dane Culver and Connor Berry as at nose to tail. Here's to the inside is Connor Berry. Dane Culver to the outside. And Sean Winkler is setting sail and smiling as these two try to settle the score from 5 laps before.
They are certainly trying to. Another shot to the back bumper from Culver over there to Berry as Berry now has gotten clear of Culver. Now he's got to make tracks and try to find his way to close a 1.1 second gap. Culver going to put more pressure on him as they head through the Ponzi corner. So far, it's not going to work for him as Culver gets a little bit too wide. Has to overcorrect it a little bit. That's going to lose a little time to Connor Berry.
Again, with how much these two are arguing, you just see more and more and more trucks entering the back of the frame. And speaking of arguing, Dane Culver once again to the inside gives you, hey, how you doing? I think he just got disqualified.
I think so, too.
I think Dane Culver has made his last mistake. And Dane Culver, we'll be seeing ya. Welcome to the pit lane. That is a DQ for Dane Culver. All is fair and love in short course, but maybe not everything as we head into our white flag lap.
Safe to say Barney was not having any more of that and decided to take Mr. Dane Culver and put him in timeout.
Yeah, he's going to have to think about that before he races us with us again tomorrow night. Again, he's still leading the points. I think he was just out here to put on a show, and a show he did, but that'll be the end of his night. Crystal King gets promoted from 5th to 3rd. This will be a great finish for her, but now she's under pressure from behind from Nathan Minister, who is not in this conversation points-wise at all. This would be a huge finish for him as he takes the last step of the podium. Connor Berry is going to try to hang on to 2nd, but Crystal King has had enough of playing 2nd fiddle. She wants that 3rd place.
She is going to do everything. She is not going to be denied and puts the pressure on, sends him around.
Oh!
Contact! Here comes Drapkin down to the bottom, and he'll get pushed up the racetrack. And Crystal King showing the boys how it's done.
Crystal King, again, we said with her patience, she's not afraid to get her elbows out as Drapkin now to the inside of Minister. This argument is not over for this out the battle for Ford as Crystal King has found that last little bit of aggressiveness she needs to be able to mix it up. But Sean Winkler in an eventful race. You see the fist pump there from the real estate salesman, and this one is signed, sealed, delivered. Get your checkbook out. A win out to Mr. Winkler in one of the most eventful qualifying races we have ever seen.
Absolutely a stellar fight from start to finish in the heat races, in the feature, and I gotta say, if this is what we expect to see, be prepared for more chaos throughout the rest of the week leading up to the Super Sessions on Saturday.
We keep putting more emphasis on it, Taylor. It's Wednesday. We're on day 1 here in the studio, day 2 of the event. We still have so many races left to go, but that's Racecraft's very own, Racecraft Academy's very own, Sean Winkler, well composed, well held, and most importantly, had the pace at the end of the day. Congrats to the number 3 machine, and hopefully we get to talk to him before the end of our broadcast. I would love to hear what any of these top 3 had to say about whatever that was. What a fight.
What a fight indeed, but I gotta say, I feel kind of bad for Connor Berry to getting another 2nd place in Crandon here tonight. Hopefully he'll find his way up to the front of the field and get that win, whether it be throughout the week or at the Super Session on Saturday.
Yeah, again, Connor Berry still sitting pretty on points there as we take a look at our top 10. Some drivers that had some really good runs there that we're looking for. Nathan Minister, we're going to see his name in the points now, considering the top split of the Super Sessions. That Countryman making up for the on a poor qualifying. Cody Vanderveer, Matthew Linda as well. All those drivers entered the top 10. Scott Merrick broke into the top 10, just not having quiet races per se, but considering what was going on towards the front as we take a jump another on the back half of our field. Tyler Shattuck, Dennis Mickelson trying to convert from a good finish this morning, but not quite getting there. Richard Watkins, Brandon Follicate, Adam McAfee, and David Holdren rounding out, and Miles Morris rounding out the cars that finish. As ladies and gentlemen, I've never been more excited for an interview in my entire life, as we are getting a hold of Sean Winkler, the number 3 truck tonight for Racecraft Academy, in, again, one of the most physical sim races I think I've ever seen. Sean, I'd ask you a question, but just talk us through the last, let's say, 5 laps.
Smokes, man. Sorry, I was trying to save that replay. That's one for the record books. 100%. I mean, what can I say? There was just carnage everywhere, and we had to dig deep and use all of our racecraft to kind of just battle our way through. I don't even know really how to explain it. Like, you know, it's just Connor's there, Dane's there, Drapkin's there. Like the competition is so intense. Like you don't know what's going to happen. You just got to try and react to it. And I saw some trucks move out of the way, and I tried to shoot a gap. And I mean, you're getting hit and run into, and like, you know, these trucks are made for a beating, and they definitely took it tonight. But I don't know. We just got lucky and got in front, and then the luck was on my side tonight. I don't know what else to say. I'm pretty pumped.
Where was your mentality there? Obviously, the race was changing a ton there towards the end, but were you just starting to throw elbows with the rest of them, or just kind of letting the kids have at it and trying to pick up the pieces towards the end?
Yeah, that was it. You know, I just tried to stay as clean as I could there and not throw any crazy sliders like into Cowboy or anything like that to, you know, endanger anybody. I know Connor's super fast, so if I could stay on him, then I knew I had a chance. And, you know, when the kids start, like you said, the kids start battling, sometimes us older guys can kind of sit back and let the whole thing play out and drive through. So that's kind of what I had to do tonight to make it happen.
Well, Sean, you got a win last year in 2024. You got a win here in 2025. As we've personally raced together quite a bit, what's changed from last year to this year to make you think that you got something for Saturday?
What's just more seat time. That's really all it is. I mean, my equipment is the same. I haven't really changed anything. Just more laps and being with a great team with Racecraft Academy, driving with the 199 guys, driving with Connor and Josh and Zach and Van Devere and everybody, Drapkin, all these guys. They just, you know, rising tide lifts all boats. You race with fast guys, you become a fast guy too. So I think that's definitely helped me out this year.
Well, Sean, I'm sure this is not the last we're going to be hearing from you. Hopefully I was going to say the race has calmed down, but I had a great time. So, I mean,
I'm pinned right now. Like that was 10/10 for me.
Yeah, man. And we still have so many more races to go. We'll see you for the rest of the week, and we'll see you on Saturday. Best of luck in these qualifying races, and hopefully this is not the last we hear of the Wink.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks to Racecraft Academy, Next Level Racing, Real Broker, you guys for putting this on. This is an amazing experience. If you've never raced dirt road before, you know, buy the trucks, get the courses, and get out here and race. It's the funnest racing on the sim, I have to say, hands down. All the fans in the stands, everyone watching, thanks so much for supporting this thing. If you need a house in Seattle, I'm your guy. Anyways, thank you, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
You know, he never mentioned the fact that he was a real estate broker, not 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 times. That was Sean Winkler, your winner here from Wednesday evening here in the Crandon Championship. And ladies and gentlemen, Taylor, we're still qualifying, man. We have 4 more races left to go before we get into the meat and potatoes of this event.
Absolutely. So if you wanted your chance to go head-to-head with some of the biggest names in off-road racing, you get your chances at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then later on at 9 p.m. on Thursday. And then, of course, you got Friday, and then all the big shows, all the marbles on Saturday.
If you thought this was edge of your seat action, just wait. The races only get more and more competitive and more physical as the week goes on. Check out iRacing social media channels as we keep you updated on the points in the top 20 to see who will qualify for those feature races there on Saturday night. But Taylor, first race here of the week. Final thoughts from Crandon. Obviously, we've got so much to go, but you got a treat here for your first race of the week.
I mean, for the first race of the week, we saw some incredible high-flying action, especially with Culver, Barry, and Winkler putting on the show. How about Drapkin and Minister also? And there you saw some of the big slide actions. They're over there in Cowboy. Heavy contact with several drivers as they try to negotiate. This has to be the move of the race. Even though it didn't help him win, Dane Culver just putting in the work to make it try to find his way to the race lead as we see some of the action in mid-pack with Cody Retzlaff, Crystal King, and Swan. More heavy contact as we almost went 5 wide heading over into Calamity Corner.
Yeah, Dane Culver with the first punch of a flurry of fists. Again, we keep making the euphemism, but I don't know what else to call that other than a bar fight. It's like he threw the first slider and the top 5 went, all right, let's put on a show. DQs be darned. And what a treat that we got here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to conclude our race tonight. And Taylor, again, we still have so much racing left. And we still don't know who's going to make that top 20, but a lot of drivers made a statement here tonight.
They certainly did. And I have to say, some of them are going to be wondering what they can do to make adjustments when it comes to tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. So make sure you guys tune in, keep up with all the action on iRacing social platforms to see who will be those top 20 drivers that'll get to go head-to-head for the big show on Saturday.
Evan McFarland is your morning winner. Dane Culver won yesterday, and Sean Winkler will join those two as a winner in 2025's Crandon Championship qualifying races. Tune in tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, for our first of 2 races in the day. Again, on behalf of the entire iRacing broadcast staff and my 2 co-commentators, Taylor Burst and Joshua Lee this morning, my name is Keenan Kuzin, and we'll see you in the pit tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. here from Crandon International Raceway.